The Amp Theory Podcast with Peter Vazquez and Scott Kalnasy.
All right. Welcome back to the Amp Theory Podcast, episode 6. Clap it up. Yeah.
Yeah, we've made it 6 episodes, bro.
I know.
And we haven't been canceled yet.
I'm surprised.
I am too, because we're very controversial.
Very, especially our editor Jonathan with his no underwear short shorts he's wearing.
Man, I didn't think Daisy Dukes had come back. Ooh. I never thought a sound could sound nasty.
Yeah, like it's the sound of you clapping your own cheeks.
That wasn't his thighs, that was his ass cheeks. He was twerking.
Yeah. Get your feet off the wall.
Oh man.
Shit.
Yeah.
Take me away from my dreams, Dad.
Oh man.
Man.
But yeah, episode 6 is
I
crazy.
think this episode is for Jonathan.
Yeah, explain.
Willpower. He needs a little bit more willpower to not be how he is.
And how is he?
Nasty.
Do tell.
Come on, if you know Jonathan, you know, right?
Yeah, no.
You know. And if you don't know Jonathan, be happy you don't know.
It's a long time ago.
There's stories.
You can't run from your past.
If we ever do a Q&A, if we ever do a Q&A, I hope that there's like naughty questions about Jonathan.
Bro,
They won't be answered.
you know how Jonathan's changed since we started this podcast.
It really has.
Bro, when he came in here, he had like fucking basketball shorts, fucking looked homeless. Now he has aerodynamic shorts. He's showing more thigh.
Yeah.
Confidence has gone through the roof.
He's still wearing Nikes with like showable socks though. It's a little upsetting.
It's, he's been taking suggestions from the pod. He's one change at a time.
Yeah.
Socks and shoes is coming.
I feel like we've gotten progressively better each episode.
I think so.
Yeah, especially because of Jonathan.
I think Jonathan takes us to another level.
Yeah, the cleaner he gets, the better we get.
I feel so.
Oh.
Well, episode 6, guys.
Yep.
Willpower.
Yes.
And do we have...
That is not a superhero. It's an actual thing.
No. I feel like this one, out of all of them, I'm a little bit more intimidated just because of the amount of information
Okay.
that it took for us to kind of get together, and it's still all jumbled up in my head.
It's even a little subjective, like, you know, because I think, like, I know we haven't defined what willpower is yet, but I do kind of feel that we romanticize willpower a little bit based off of what we read in books or what we see on TV or movies. We see like a main character, the hero or heroine, who has like infinite willpower, like determination. And sometimes people try to live up to that. Myself, I've tried to live up to that. And not knowing that willpower can be finite is a little disappointing.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because going into this, what I thought willpower was, was not what it ended up being. Like it just transformed in my mind.
Yeah.
You know? And I really hope that we can give that, right?
Yeah.
Like how just the thought of willpower transformed in my mind, and I'm pretty sure in your mind as well.
Yeah.
Like I hope that we do enough justice to it,
Yes.
because I think out of everything so far, you know, we've been thinking about like getting started and the amp theory, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
We basically knew just from all the times we've had conversations
Right.
what we were gonna say. This one, what I thought I was gonna say at the end of last episode has completely changed.
I thought this was going to be like a really simple, easy, clear cut, probably even like a shorter episode on willpower. But then the more you kind of look into it, you're like, fuck, there's so much, like so much time and energy and study that's gone into willpower that I didn't know was there.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if this is a, cause you know, I speak Spanish and English, right? And Spanish was my first language. And so, like, what I experience, I don't know if like natural English speakers experience this too, but sometimes we use like words and we know what they mean.
Yeah, that's language.
Yeah, let me finish. God damn it. what I'm trying to say is that like we use the words and we kind of have an idea what they mean, but we take them almost for granted.
Right.
You know, like I've thrown around willpower and I've had what I thought was in my head what willpower was,
Right.
and I've used it like you use it in sentences and stuff. But until you actually look at these things as a thing, like determination as a thing, discipline as a thing, willpower as a thing, like I'm still feel like I'm still learning a lot about the English language that is in like changing my reality in the world.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, speaking of like kind of like learning what it is, go ahead and like define it for us.
Yeah. So, willpower is a noun, and it it stands for control exerted to do something or to restrain impulses.
Okay.
So basically, control exerted to do something or to stop doing something.
Yeah.
And like, willpower to me was always like kind of like that what you're saying, like superhero thing, like Rocky, like
Yes.
willing things into like, oh man, like he wanted to be like he gave it his all, he wanted to be like training and all that stuff, and I think that what I was confusing it was with more like motivation, like being motivated to do something.
Yeah.
And maybe I know determination is like a synonym of it, but willpower is definitely a little bit different. Oh, what did you think of willpower?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Like how I said, like we kind of like romanticize what willpower is. It's determination, willing something into existence. Like Rocky got his ass whooped and became champion.
He gets his ass whooped every time, bro.
Yeah, well, yeah, for half the fight at least. But
always willpower's his way back.
That very end. Well, but no, like you think about it, and you think about it in like the most simple way, and it's because it's presented to you in like a fantastic way, whether it be like books, movies, or TV shows or whatever. You see willpower as like that person, like I said earlier, like they're just unrelenting, like will not stop until like they reach their goal, like no matter what it is. You see it in Rocky, you see it in like cartoons like Pokemon. If you saw the last ad we did, but you also see it like in war movies.
Yeah,
like the POWs, like like Chuck Norris. He's like, I got that willpower, that determination. I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna escape.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think like the biggest misconception is like willpower like is like that hardness, that doesn't waver.
Right.
It's just you have willpower and like you just do it. You run through the wall. It's just like that. That's what I have. And one of the things that the first like aha moment for both of us was the fact that like it's limited.
Yeah, I didn't realize that studies put like a finite amount on willpower.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense if you think about it a little bit. According to the studies, like you wake up in the morning, your bar is full.
Yeah.
But then you go throughout the day, like, cool, I'm not gonna eat donuts this morning. I'm not gonna indulge myself at lunch. I'm gonna eat clean for dinner. But then by the end of the day, like you're tired. They call it two different things. It's like ego depletion and willpower depletion. It's pretty much the same. But by the end of the day, they say that your willpower tank is pretty much empty.
Yeah.
And like that's normally when you begin to be like, you know what? I could fall off the wagon a little bit right now.
Yeah. And that's why they say a lot of like there's like late night snacking, and that's like usually the meal that you fuck up on is that last meal, or even if you do eat good lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, like it's the snacking afterwards, right?
That'll get you.
Yeah,
because I know I have a sweet tooth, so I don't even necessarily have to have something like candy, but if I have like soda or like juice or like Kool-Aid, something like that, right? Like it kind of takes away a little bit of like that like anxiety I have of like, oh, I'm doing so good, I'm gonna screw up, I can't screw up, but I have to have something so small as even like just having like a little bit of juice in my mouth. Like I get like that sugar rush. They even had that like in one of the studies, like if your willpower is depleted, you know, maybe just having like a little bit of lemonade will recharge you a little bit because your body, your glucose levels, like you need sugars.
Yeah.
And I know I'm butchering that a little bit, but just that little bitty bit like helps you get through.
Yeah.
And because, as you know, when we were cave people, like it was in our DNA to fucking eat as much fats and as much meats or sweet things to put on weight for like wintertime so we could survive.
Yeah.
We're still wired for that.
For sure.
But we're so comfortable now that it's just kind of like, hey, like, cool, your brain is telling you got to eat fats, you got to eat sugars, you got to like prepare for winter even though it's July.
Yeah.
And cool, man, you're not doing anything else. Like, it's just going to sit in your stomach.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, look, if you want scientific terms and motherfuckers to say shit like 100% correct, you're at the wrong motherfucking place. Like, we're two simple-minded men, right? We fucking wake up, we shit and eat and sleep, you know, and that's it. Like,
routine.
So what we're trying to do is, you know, how the shit made sense to us.
Yeah.
You know, we're just trying to regurgitate it that way. Sometimes we do butcher things, but try to get the idea of what we're
planting seeds.
Yeah. But go look that shit up if you want it all nice and proper. No, just kidding.
You can correct us in the comments. I don't care.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like the fact that every time you have to force yourself from doing something, right? Because it's again, you don't just get depleted when you say no, right?
Right.
Like you also get depleted when you say yes to doing something, right? So like if you wake up and you're saying, hey, I'm gonna start working out, right? That's a hit to your willpower, you know. It's like because I want to stay in bed, you know.
Because remember, even too, we were talking about building up like small victories, momentum. That takes willpower.
Yeah. Because
you're sitting there like, fuck, I gotta put my shoes on.
Yeah.
And then I'm not gonna run the whole gambit again. But basically, that is willpower depletion.
Yeah.
Like to get from start to put your shoes on to get to your workout. By the time you get to your workout, you're already like, fuck, I'm here. Like I might as well do it, but I'm tired. I don't want to do it. Sometimes you don't put in like the proper amount of effort.
Yeah.
Because we've had conversations where like I had a really good workout today. It's fucking badass. And then other times where it's like, yeah, not today.
Yeah. And you know, like one thing that that we've allowed ourselves to do, like I think with this podcast, I think if we were not as strict on our times, like, hey, we've decided that we're gonna record like every Sunday, you know, and we have a set time and we're gonna come and do that, right?
Yeah, I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, the fact that it's not debatable, so we know that every Sunday evening this is what we're gonna do. Like, it helps us to not have to make that decision.
Right.
You know, I used to say this all the time, but it's actually relevant to this. Y'all know Trader Joe's, the grocery place. The reason why they say that place is as successful as it is because when you go to a Walmart, right, and you need one thing, you have like 5 to 10 different options of that one thing.
Sure.
You know, with Trader Joe's is you just have a couple products, right? And so that if you go into a Trader Joe's, it's a lot smaller, and they don't have like these big different varieties of things. You go in, you get whatever it is that you want. You don't have to make a choice of like, I'm gonna get this brand or that brand. Is like, no, you want shredded cheese? We got one brand of shredded cheese. Just come get the fucking shredded cheese, you know?
Yeah.
And so the same thing with like, because I come from a sales background, right? And we have like, let's say the iPhone 12, right? I'm not gonna show you all the fucking cases I have for the iPhone 12. I'm just gonna show you like 2 or 3 until you pick one of those, because people like to not have to make those type of decisions.
It's easier to make a decision between 1 and 3 things than it is between like hundreds.
Yeah.
Right. It's like online dating in that way.
Yeah.
You know, you look through, it gets to be tedious and like daunting sometimes. You're like, oh, how many people am I going to swipe on?
Yeah.
You get tired of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, having that willpower, you know, to go to a certain place to like shop for certain things. Like you're there for that thing. You're like, I'm not here for all these sweets. I'm not here for all these candies or any of that stuff. You know, it is limited. But what was cool was about like some of the studies that they were doing. I think her name was Kelly McGonigal.
Yeah, Kelly McGonigal.
We're reading about her.
Yeah, look her up if y'all want the scientific stuff.
Yeah, if
that's
you want the real shit.
Yeah. She knows what the fuck she's talking about.
But even though, like your willpower, your determination, everything is finite, like just like how like we work out, like muscles can grow. Apparently, so can your willpower.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like pretty cool. If you train it, you know, it will grow.
Yeah, and that's the good news, right?
Yeah.
Because here at the M Theory, we're about good news. We're about giving you guys not just the fucking problems, but the solution. So the solution is you can work it out, right? And so that's what, again, we always talk about fitness here, but going back to everything, you can get the willpower to do whatever it is that you want, whatever your goal is, you know? So it's just about strengthening it.
Yeah.
Strengthening it.
Strengthening it. Sounds dirty. But no, I like the idea that it is able to grow because in her studies, the prefrontal cortex, like the very the frontal lobe of your brain, is where like those kind of like the bias that you have of things that you want to do versus things that you don't want to do. Where if you're sitting there and you're thinking about it, you're like, man, I really want to work out, but I'm really tired.
Yeah.
Your frontal cortex, your prefrontal cortex is going to say, hey, you're sitting on the couch, but you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Go work out.
Yeah. Yeah. And right before we get to that, I think there was one thing that we were talking about just to kind of drive the idea of ego and willpower depletion. The study about the cookies and the radishes. It shows what we're talking about. So again, not scientific language, but basically they put a whole bunch of motherfuckers in a room, right? they put cookies in front of them. They had cookies and radishes. They told one group of people, they said, hey, don't touch the cookies. You got to eat the radishes. They told the other people, it's like, you can have the cookies.
Yeah.
Right?
So like the people who ate the radishes, it couldn't eat the cookies. They were still there. They could still smell it. They could still see it. But they had to use their willpower to only eat the radishes. Where the people who could eat the cookies were just like, nom, 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 this shit's good, right? And so then they left the room.
And you can tell that these people weren't Mexican because I don't know if y'all know, if you ever like go get tacos, they always give you the lemons, right? And then they also give you some little radishes, bro. We love radishes, bro. So if it had been some Mexicans in the room, we'd have been like, good, but continue.
I would have hoped I was in the cookie room.
But yeah, so the people doing the control, the test, or whatever, they left the room, and then they came back and they handed out puzzles to the people who ate the radishes and ate the cookies. And the study would show that the people who had to use more willpower to not eat the cookies and had to only eat the radishes gave up on like these puzzle tests like way sooner than the people who were just sitting there chilling eating the cookies. Like they were happy. They had like no reason to use their willpower to like not eat anything. They're just like cookies and shit. Good.
Yeah. And then so they were able to stick with the puzzle longer, right?
Yeah.
So that study was something that just really showed what we were trying to say about the depletion of that. But what you were saying with the frontal cortex, one thing that in the studies that we were doing that really stuck out to me was the saying that they say you have one brain but two minds. Yeah,
your present self and your future self.
Yeah. So your brain, that the prefrontal cortex, the stuff that's behind your forehead, right?
Yeah.
Like that shit is what kind of controls these behaviors,
Yeah.
But the two mind part of it is that like you have the right now pleasure, right? And you have the long-term goal-oriented mind, right?
Yeah.
And that's the right now I can have this cookie, or I can refrain from eating this cookie to get that beach spot I want a month from now or 2 months from now, right?
Exactly,
so that's the shit that we battle.
Yeah. Like that, I thought that was interesting too because I personally have an issue with my future self and my present self because my future me is like, hey, like you got a goal, you're gonna fucking reach it. You want to drop this weight, you're gonna fucking do it. I'm here for you. And then I go talk shit to myself in my accountability mirror.
Yeah.
But my present self is like, you know what, Scott, you killed it today. Go ahead and drink that soda.
Yeah.
Go ahead and eat that cookie. Treat yourself. Basically. And the want in the now fucks up my want in the future.
Yeah.
And like it happens to me. It has to happen. I mean, it happens to everybody, but can you give like an example of like when it's happened to you?
Yeah, like every fucking day,
Every fucking day.
like it's so now what I've done, and I ended up finding out later that it's actually a good practice, is because I did do like those small changes that created into habits. It became a routine, right? So, but I am surrounded by people who don't have the same goals as me. You know, I go to work and there's like 10 other people that work with me, maybe 8, but like 8 to 10 people that work with me.
We can round up.
Yeah. And, you know, me and my wife, sometimes our goals don't always align, right? Like I'm more sensitive to food than she is. She can eat whatever she wants. She's been the same weight like since high school.
Right.
Me, I eat what she eats and I fucking blow up, you know? So I have to be stricter on what I eat than she has to. So, but that doesn't mean that, like, you know, she still goes and does what she has to do. It's still around me, you know? So those are the times that I have to practice. Now, that being said, like, you know, like, example, it was, we had my wife's birthday party yesterday.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. And it was never mind, I'm not gonna say it.
Off camera.
Yeah, not on camera, but
or actually
camera.
bleep this out.
but like, you know, so there was some leftover cake. So I got cake in there. Am I gonna eat some? Yup. Am I gonna not want to? Yup. Right? No, but the goal is, it's like, hey, like, don't do it like every day. Don't finish the cake,
right?
And then go buy more cake, you know. And so it's a constant battle. What I find myself is that there are days where I hit that hoe and I don't do anything, and there's days where it's like, you know what, you know, one of my coworkers brought in some donuts. Fuck, I'll have a donut, right?
Right.
And sometimes I feel like shit. Sometimes I don't give a fuck,
right?
But the struggle is always there.
Yeah.
And that's just the struggle because of our goals. But like, even when it comes to my studying, right? Because academically, like, I'm trying to do this real estate thing, and I got a test tomorrow morning. And your boy ain't been studying, all right? You know, I admit it. and I tell myself every morning, it's like, hey, like, I'm going to study, but I get myself caught up doing all these other things. And I'm not thinking about, hey, future Pete that's going to sit there taking the test. So I don't want you to go through this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to cram that shit tomorrow morning.
It's like the longer you sit there and you think about, like, let me finish this like episode that I'm watching on TV. Then let me eat something real quick. Yeah. Your focus is no longer on your goal, whether it be working out or studying. Yeah. Because I'm guilty of that too, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like, I got to learn this specific thing for this podcast, or I have to learn this specific thing for work. Yeah. But let me put it off for a little bit because this dude's reviewing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I knew it.
Speaking of Mortal Kombat, was fantastic. It's nothing like you would expect. If you go into it expecting certain things, you might be disappointed, but you stick around for Kano.
Hey, I dare you to spoil something.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that.
People die.
Oh,
brutally.
Really cool.
But we're talking about like the frontal cortex.
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, you've read a little bit of Kelly McGonigal's book, so you know about the I want, I won't, or I will, I won't, I want, right?
Yeah. Before you get into that, though, there's a story of this guy named Phineas. Something Phineas. I don't know if Phineas was his first name or his last name.
Phineas Gage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homeboy. Right. So just again to drive the importance of the prefrontal cortex, right?
Yeah.
This motherfucker used to work for the railroad, right?
It's like in the late
1840 something
or mid 1800s.
Yeah. So this motherfucker, and so he was fucking with some dynamite, right? And he was hitting the shit. Shit popped before it should have. The shit he was hitting down there went through his head, right?
Yeah, it went through his cheek.
Oh, his cheek.
It went through his cheek and out through part of his frontal lobe.
Yeah.
But it didn't kill him.
No. But it was so bad where people were picking up
his gray matter, his brain matter,
of his brain to put that shit together.
Yeah.
Homeboy survived, right?
Right. But it completely changed him.
Yeah, because part of his prefrontal cortex was fucked up. He went from being a nice, gentlemanly man, right?
Yeah.
To a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Then people said he started cussing. He started being impulsive.
Yeah, because he tapped into like more of like that primitive brain, that like survival type brain, and his inhibitions and his fears and everything, they just kind of went out the window, or went out his skull with the 7-inch iron that went with him, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's weird to think about like how you could survive something like that.
Yeah.
But then also heal completely, with the exception of like your brain being like fucked up, right? Like people, I mean, nowadays people could kind of compare that to like CTE, like people getting hit, like UFC was last night.
Yeah.
Masvidal got knocked out. He'll never be the same.
His prefrontal cortex got fucked up.
Like he'll never be the same. But like football players and things like that who take a lot of hits, like I've cracked my skull open, so I'm sure something's jogged loose in my brain. But
I could tell by the way you talk.
I speak
talk
good.
No, you talk a little dumb.
It's for the everyman. I gotta dumb down what I say for you.
Yeah. I'm like really trying to pay attention.
You're like staring like deep into my soul, and I'm like, listen, young man, I'll show you the way.
Scott really thinks that he's my idol, but that's not true. You know who's my idol?
Who?
Fucking.
If you say Jonathan, I'll kill you.
Not
just kidding. I would never kill him.
Jonathan Shorts.
I'm so glad that I can't see behind your workstation, just because I'm afraid of like what could fall out. It's not your meat; it's your balls I'm worried about.
It's like
but yeah, so the I will, the I won't, I want was actually pretty interesting to me, because when you say I will, like you're saying to yourself, like I will pick something out, like a goal that I'm ready to achieve, something that I've been putting off. The I won't is I won't let certain things like get in my way of reaching my goals. Like I've been putting things off, I won't let that happen anymore. And then we've already touched on like the two brains, right? The future brain and the self brain. That kind of goes into the I want. So the future I want is my goal. The future I want is I want to look like Zac Efron in Baywatch.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a long fucking time, but you can attain it.
Yeah.
But my now self is like, but you really want those racetrack hot dogs. But, you know, it's like your future self is like, hey, don't fucking do it.
No,
you ain't gonna get the 6-pack eating like pig ass. Like your future, your now self can like fuck off.
Yeah, bro, them fucking
so good, so good.
Pig ass,
yeah,
bro. My mouth waters for some pig ass, bro. Damn it! I forget you do those edits. Shit. But yeah, man, like, that's the constant struggle, right?
Daily.
God damn. I want, like, it's.
This is like another zebra cake conversation.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I feel like, God damn, man, like, we need to get sponsored by these people. Like, we're telling you not to do it, but like,
we're telling you not to do it with such love.
Yeah, god damn. But self-control is the key, all right? Having that fucking willpower. What's it called? But, you know, all these things are where you're practicing your will, right?
Right.
You have the every time you stop yourself from doing something or doing something, like, you got to understand it's taking a hit. So
So we're talking about like self-control and kind of like preparing ourselves. Have you heard about like it was a test that Kelly McGonigal did with her audience when she did her talk. She said hold your breath for like 15 seconds, right?
Yeah.
She's like inhale, exhale, and then as soon as everybody exhaled all their air, she's like, now hold your breath for 15 seconds. And a lot of people, they were able to, but some people they couldn't, understandable. But that test is designed to help you face like the discomfort of like your physical change. Yeah. It's to a very minimal level.
Yeah.
But the idea that like, cause I did it, I was like, okay, cool. All my air out, like with all my air out, holding my breath for 15 seconds, like it sucked.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. Like, but to like put that like in perspective with like some of the other stuff that we do, like we go through pain when we work out, we go through pain when we run, and we push past that physical discomfort to get to our goals.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's actually really, really cool. Like to that level of like anybody can do it.
Yeah. And some of the key, you know, that's actually something that you brought up that I'm actually experiencing like right now. So you remember we had a pretty like bad thunderstorm. Was it Friday?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was literally about to run. It starts pouring.
Oh yeah, I said I'll troll you for the video that you posted. So I'll troll you later.
So what I did was
That's still coming, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I like posting up like the ugliest face that I make when I do a photo. Maybe it gets people to like want to click on it, but that's what he's talking about. But so because I wasn't able to go for a run, like I'll run in some rain. I'm not running when there's lightning, bro. You know.
Don't you want superpowers?
Hell no. Not like that.
That's how you get superpowers.
Nah,
that's how
bro,
you become.
I'll get bit by a spider or some shit.
I've been bit by a spider. This shit don't work.
Nah, bro. But so I stayed in, and what I decided to do was just like I did like 3-minute rounds with a 1-minute break, and so like I just did one exercise for 3 minutes over and over and over. So I hit the legs because I was like, oh, well, I was supposed to go run, so I'll just hit legs.
Yeah.
I was doing jumping lunges, jumping squats. I was doing all types of crazy shit. Thinking I'm like, oh, well, I've been working out, but I forget I haven't been working out like that, you know? My legs are freaking killing me, bro. Like, it hurts to sit. It hurts to stand up. Like once I get warmed, I'm good. But if I sit there, like after this, when I get up after this podcast, my legs are going to hurt. But one of my buddies from work, we said a week ago, hey, let's go run Sunday. And so I was like, all right, cool. Bro, I showed up. I did not feel like running, right? But the thing is, I didn't test my will because it was in my mind. Like I didn't have a choice. Like I didn't have to will myself to do it.
You just knew you were going to do it. I was just like,
well, I'm going to go run. Like, but your legs hurt. Like, I think that's how sometimes we feel, right? It's like, I have a little discomfort. My legs hurt. So maybe I shouldn't run. Or should I run? Like, and that's the battle is like, you know, you should. Yeah. And if you just go out there, it's going to suck for a little bit, but it gets better and you knock out the run.
Yeah. Once you lose, let's say, like you said, like once you loosen up, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's going to suck after.
But it's giving yourself that option, that out, that makes you deplete some willpower that you shouldn't have depleted. Right. Like once you decide you're going to do something, stop thinking about it. Just do it, you know? Like the thought of should I do it comes later. Yeah. You know, but once you decide I'm going to do it, just get out and do it. Because what happens if you start going back and forth, oh, like, should I run? Should I not run? Should I eat healthy? Should I not eat healthy? Like, all these little things that you're doing are just going to fuck you up. And then let's say even if you make the right decision every single time, then whenever at the end of the night, when you're sitting there, you're like, oh, I'm about to get down, but, you know, I got these freaking zebra cakes. You got these zebra cakes, you know, like you're gonna be more inclined to get in.
It's funny that you talk about do good, do bad, right? Because when we give ourselves like too much praise, like if we're like, man, like I've been killing it, I've been doing great, I've been eating good, I haven't cheated in X amount of time. When you give yourself too much praise, you're basically giving yourself like that out to eat bad. Yeah. You're saying to yourself like, hey, I can have the zebra cake now. Yeah. And like, in a lot of times, and I've been, you know, it's happened to me too, there is a little bit of guilt that comes with that. Yeah. Yeah. But you have to get over that guilt, because if you let that guilt like get to you, all it's going to happen is like you're going to snowball. So you're going to be like, man, I was doing so good, and then I fucked up because I had that zebra cake that was delicious. Yeah. And then I was so in the moment of like, well, I've already fucked up, right? So it's not going to matter if I follow my zebra cake up with the Star Crunch. And you know what? Since I've already fucked up twice, might as well go for the hat trick, right? I'm going to have a soda pop with it, right? Yeah. Like, if you hold on to that guilt, like, all that's going to happen is you're going to snowball. Yeah. And then if you try, like, the harder you try to fight that guilt, too, like, the more likely you are to continue to repeat that cycle.
Yeah, because we do the things that we do for comfort. So whenever you have guilt, what are you then going to want to do? The shit that comforts you, right? So, like, let's say, like, people that are trying to cut back on drinking. You go and you get fucked up, right? The first thing you think about the next morning is like, damn, like, I shouldn't have gotten that fucked up. I shouldn't have done it. And what do? then you want to start drinking again because that's the shit that makes you feel better.
It's
that's
a
the
little
shit
hair
that comforts you.
It's called the hair of the dog.
Yeah.
You wake up like from I'm not a drinker, but I've witnessed it firsthand plenty of times. I've seen multiple people in this room throw up from being really drunk. No, you just cried. No, you threw up.
I threw up and cried.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, like you drink in excess, and then the next morning you're like, well, what's gonna make me feel better? Little hair at the dog is gonna take this edge off.
Hey, you know what? Fuck you, bro. Because I was crying out of love. I was telling you. I was telling y'all how much I loved y'all. I was like, man, I love you guys.
And then you crawled into bed with me, and we had a conversation.
Whoa.
Fully clothed.
We were just, it was a homeboy type thing.
Yeah.
It was a party. There was beds.
It was a party.
Our shirts were off. What do you want me to do?
You crawled into bed with me. I threw my arm around you. You put your head on my chest, and I told you it was going to be okay.
I felt safe.
And everything was fine until that fucking parrot in the dark started chirping. For some reason, at this party we're at, we stayed the night. That's why we had to share a bed. Someone else was there, so it wasn't just us. And in the middle...
Damn.
In the
was
middle,
multiple guys that we were there, all there, just bros hanging out, doing nothing suspect. Just
absolutely not.
We're just chilling.
Alcohol was involved. Bro, everything was above board.
Bro, if that was suspect, then fucking locker rooms are suspect because there's nothing just with more clothes. We had more clothes on than in the locker room.
I'm pretty sure that we still had our shoes and hoodies on, so there's that.
Yeah.
But we were having a legit conversation. I was trying to help you out, and then in the darkness, there's this fucking parrot that started talking to us also. That tripped me out.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. But willpower.
Back on topic.
No, man. But reversing back to what we were talking about, right? A lot of the times, like, I'm gonna open up, right? Since I guess we're already fucking opening up, right? Not like, so me, I love to eat. All right. I love to eat. I love food. I love the way it tastes. I love all types of food, and I love eating lots of food, right? But also, food is a defense mechanism for me, right? Like it helps me deal with my emotions.
I know you're being serious, but like I'm fighting hard not to laugh.
Bro, I'm really opening up right now, bro.
Okay. These are tears of
man.
These are emotional tears, not laughing tears. No. Go ahead.
But in all seriousness, right? Food like comforts me, right? And my problem is I don't know how to stop, you know? So it was huge portions, right? And then I would feel bad, and the guilt like would make me then want to seek more comfort, and it was like a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah.
And then you add pot into the thing, and it was even worse because then I'm like, fuck it, right? And so it's like it's a vicious cycle that sometimes when you do the things that you don't want to do, so like you were saying, it's like you do so good, and then you're like, oh man, like. I did great, and then you did it. And then you do the thing you shouldn't have done, and you feel like shit, and you feel guilty, and you don't realize that the thing that you do that's bad is really because it's a type of way of comforting you.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So forgiving yourself, saying, hey, like one thing that I like to do, right, is because I've gotten to the point where my habits are pretty locked in that when I do veer off, like. It's really easy for me to come back. And one of the things that I say in my mind that allows me to do that is that it's like, hey, like, I know I did this now, right? But most of the time I don't do this.
Right.
So, excuse me. It's also being able to say, hey, like, I'm also human and I live in reality.
Right.
And reality is that, like, I'm not training for anything, you know? I'm not like fucking, you know, like I get to live.
Yeah.
And as long as most of the time I'm not doing this, like I think the perfect example is like you were saying, like, oh, you know, I ain't doing shit, I'm gonna eat this fucking zebra cake. Like, no, like yesterday I went to a restaurant because it was my wife's birthday party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, now I can do this.
Yeah.
And I don't have to feel like shit because one, it's a special occasion, right? It's not like I'm doing this shit all the fucking time on my regular day. But if I do it, right, hey, most of the time I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm eating at home. I'm doing what I got to do. So this is okay. Tomorrow it's just right back at it.
Yeah.
You know?
And by saying all this stuff too, like by allowing yourself to like have that moment where you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to feel guilty about this. I'm not taking like a 180 from the accountability mirror, right? Because I do look in the accountability mirror and I'm like, hey, fucking get it together.
Yeah.
But after one screw up, I don't do that.
Yeah.
It's when it spirals.
Yeah.
That's when it's kind of like,
Yeah,
hey, buddy,
yeah.
chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Do you want to get back to where you were?
Yeah.
Do you really want to be the person that you were before you looked in the accountability mirror this first time and you hurt your feelings? You made yourself cry. Like, I was really upset. You know, like all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not veering away from that by any means, but you do have to give yourself like at least like one out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why like crashing like really doesn't help, because it's like you do all these things and next thing you know, you fuck up one little place and you're like, oh man, I gotta like now my whole shit is fucked up, you know? Versus if you're just tackling one small thing and you just fuck up, you can say, hey, you know what? I just stringed like 5 days together where before I was doing this shit every day. Okay, cool. It happened. Like, shouldn't have happened. All right, cool. Now I get back on there, you know, and you do it. So, so definitely, you know, don't give yourself too much, because that us just saying this is something that Kelly also talks about.
Right.
Is that you have to forgive yourself and just keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know,
and that, you know, that does kind of go like with what we were talking about with like our present self and our future self, because we're talking to our present self about like what we've done, and we're like, okay, like get back on the horse, right? Like tomorrow's a new day. Don't let this shit spiral. Like you're giving yourself that one out, and your future self, like that goal is sitting there like, hey, like it's gonna be cool. This goal is still intact, right? So it's good. There's two types of people who speak to that future self. There's the people who are like super cheerful, happy-go-lucky, and they're like, nothing's gonna stop me from my goal. And those people, unfortunately, are kind of like the more naive side, where they're not taking into account that they could, you know, screw up here, screw up there, and you know, falter. But the people who I feel I relate more with, when they talk to their future self and they're looking at their goals, they're looking at it instead of like a happy place, like it's gonna happen. It's more, I look at it in a more pessimistic kind of way. I'm like, this is what your future can be if you don't stay on track. And I try to look at like, okay, so I have these goals for fitness, right? But I'm not going to reach those goals if I'm sitting there eating zebra cakes, or I'm sitting there like eating 5 meals a day, or I'm eating or drinking all the soda pop. So I have to really pinpoint like a detective, like where I could screw up, and like point out like where I could like fall down and stumble, and then it would like snowball. And when I think about it like that, I don't see myself like in that positive manner anymore. It's like, fuck, if I do this, and this, then I'm gonna be right back to where I was when I started, maybe even worse.
Yeah. Well, because of the idea of the future self, right? So it's kind of going back to the one brain, two mind things, right? The right now pleasure part of your mind versus the long-term goal-oriented part. Well, what Kelly was talking about was that a lot of us treat our future selves like a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, why would I save money for somebody I don't know?
Exactly.
Versus buy something right now for somebody that I love, like myself, right? You know, so like that is what she's saying. So
because she did the study where it's relatively recent, but they basically the person who was doing the study took a picture of themselves and they put it in the VR is what it was. But it was like, it was basically if like you were looking in the VR, but you were looking at an older, like 30 years at it or aged up version of yourself, and you had that conversation with yourself, and you'd ask your future self like, hey, like what have you done, you know, to reach your goal? What is your life like? the people that they tested who did these VR tests to talk to their future selves, it sounds kind of silly, but I see where they're going with it. Yeah. Those people were way more likely to start putting away money for retirement, to start eating cleaner, for like a better future. Yeah. And, like all that was like really interesting that like just trying to have like a conversation with yourself to realize that the person you are now is going to change, but it's still the person in your future. Yeah. Yeah.
And right now it's something that, you can like, technology nowadays, you don't have to be part of these studies because, like, you know, the Snapchat filter, the one that makes you older, pop that hoe on your phone, right? And look at yourself as an older person and really, like get to know yourself. Like, what would your future self would want? Like, like if you were to accomplish your goals, what would your future self say? You know, like, she was also saying writing a letter from your future self to yourself now is another good practice to do. The more you get acquainted with your future self, the more you're willing to have the willpower to do those things long term. Hey, you know what? Future me wants to live. Like future me wants to be alive. And if I continue the things that I'm doing, that's not looking so hot. You know? Especially with like our interest when it comes to fitness. I mean, Corona killed a lot of people that were heavier in weight. That's just a fact. Yeah. You know, like it just is what it is. Overweight people tend to have more problems when it comes to, you know, diabetes, cancer, fucking strokes, heart attacks, you know? So getting to know your future self is really important, you know, especially if your goal is fitness. And we're talking about, like, we're not just talking about superficial, like, I want to have muscles fitness. No, like, we're talking
not that beach muscle shit.
No,
like
we're
actual
talking about
functional strength.
Actual health,
endurance, and
health, like just health, just being healthy. You know, like if you ain't trying to fucking do Ninja Warrior and shit, that's all good. But if you're just trying to be alive, like that's the stuff that we're really like.
That's the goal. Yeah.
When I was
to stay alive.
Yeah. When I was a personal trainer, like I was real skinny, right? So like nobody wanted to train with me because I wasn't the guy with the muscles. But the people that were training with me were the people that had like health problems. We're saying it's like, hey, my doctor told me I should come in here and do something, you know? And so like, it really gave me like a higher sense of purpose because it's like, oh shit, this isn't like, I want to look better. It's like somebody's telling me, hey, I'm willing to give you money because my doctor says I need this to be alive. Yeah. Like my functions are fucking up, you know? And so like, and the one that really impacted me that was like kind of hard was this little girl who like, she had to be like 9. She was really little and she was fun, man. She was like this like young, sassy little girl. She would like always be talking shit. She was so funny, man. And she's like such a vibrant person, but her mom, like she wasn't there. But when her mom was like telling me what she needed, she's like, my daughter's overweight. Like the doctor's saying like diabetes, pre-hypertension, all this stuff. Like it's like, I want my daughter to have a future. And it's like the first time it really hit me of like, oh shit, I'm not just like just being a fucking like personal trainer, like the superficial shit that we see, all that Instagram shit. Yeah. No, it's like some people need this for actual health, you know? So like, talking to your future self is very important, you know? If it's not fitness, it's the person who, hey, you know what? We ended up studying, we got that real estate license, Pete, and we ended up like not having to work at this other place or not having to do this or not having to do that, you know? Being able to provide for your family, Pete, you know? So like, you better fucking study for this test, you know, and shit like that, you know? Like talk to yourself for whatever it is and the benefits. And if you were to do it, what it would be, and that would give you motivation now. Yeah, you know, to be able to.
Because after she talked about like the study where the people talk to their future selves, and then they actually started to put into action like things that would help them with their future. The whole writing a letter to yourself. Like I know we've talked separately where you like to journal things, and the way my brain works, like I fixate on something and I memorize it. That's why I said that I really do. I do feel that I have like a slight case of hyperthymesia, which just means that like I have like total recall of like a lot of events in my life. Like I remember how I met him. I mean, I remember you and those like stupid old contact lenses you used to wear to make your eyes lighter brown. Like, I'll tell everybody all kinds of shit
You know,
about you.
I have a case of some other shit where I can call total bullshit on you, motherfucker.
Go ahead.
Because okay, I might have had contacts, right? They made my
So you just confirming my shit.
So yeah, they made my eyes hazel, right? Your boy was looking good and shit. But he's a bitch.
I can verify that both of you are bitches.
Nah, hell no.
Yeah.
Man, we're trying to help people. You over here bringing my shit up, bro.
No, I'm just
That's
using
cool.
it. I'm just using it as an example. But you know but the notes of the future self thing, like, it's good. It's like a time capsule at that point.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've reached your goals and you've attained everything you want to.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, like, try again.
Yeah, and you know, another practice that she says really helps people with willpower was predicting future failures. Like so it's like, okay, you know, I want to do this. What is it that's gonna make me mess up, right? So, like, I'm gonna start eating healthy, right? What is it that's gonna make me not eat healthy? You know,
cravings.
What craving? When do I get cravings? You know, like, is that when? Like, why is it that that's gonna make me fail? You know, how should I react? And what she realized is that people that did that ended up like working out twice as much as they thought they were gonna work out the next week,
right?
Because like they were anticipating those things, and they realized that they failed actually at a less rate,
right,
than people that didn't.
Have you? I hate to cut you off. Have you ever like fasted?
Yes.
So, you know, like
I fasted all the time.
So, you know, like you in the beginning of your fast, right? Like you get those like hunger pains, right?
Yeah.
It's not really that you're hungry; it's that you're thirsty. I've done like several day fasts before, and I always would treat it like, okay, my stomach is telling me it wants like food, right?
But my
body really like didn't need all that.
Yeah.
Because so what I would do is like if I felt hungry, I would drink. Like water, and when I would drink water, I wasn't hungry anymore.
Yeah,
it would subside that, and I found that I would like stick to my program.
Yeah,
like, and even like when I fast, like during the day, like I only eat between like 12 and 6.
Yeah.
So in the morning, like when I am hungry, I'm like, I'm not hungry, thirsty.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like half an hour before I'm supposed to eat my lunch. My stomach's doing all that shit. Water.
Yeah.
And like I don't cheat.
Yeah.
It helps me.
Yeah, for sure. The way that like so it's funny, there's this stoic practice that say like, imagine all the worst shit that can happen to you, right? So you can expect it, and imagine yourself reacting to it. What we don't realize is sometimes we go into like autopilot, right?
Yeah.
And like, so once I heard that, I started thinking, I'm like, man, how many people, right? Like maybe as a joke, right? Or maybe as or maybe not a joke, but like we'll sit there and say, man, if I ever caught my wife cheating, you know, I'd fucking kill him, right? Thinking that, oh, this will probably never happen, right? And then they come home and that shit happens. And maybe somebody who would have never done anything like that before, all of a sudden goes into autopilot and is now sitting in jail for life, right?
Because they convinced themselves if I
saw
that.
Shit, and that's why you got to watch out, right? And if you don't really seriously think, it's not to say that like you don't trust who you're with, or sometimes that you don't trust yourself. Whatever the situation is that you're like sitting and thinking about, like you go into these autopilots. So it's important for you to sit there, and not just when it comes to your goals and thinking about things that are going to make you fail, right? But just anything that can happen in your life, and think about how would the person that I think I am react to this?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, man, if somebody like fucking sits there and talks shit to me in the middle of the street, like how the fuck would I react? And I called you the other day because your boy messed up, right? Like, man, like I'm getting older. My ass needs to calm down, right? And I had somebody talk wild to me, and I was ready to fight, you know?
You slip back into like that, like premeditated like thought that you used to have.
Yeah.
It's subliminal. It's black.
Yeah.
It's back in your brain, right? It's not in your prefrontal cortex, like
Yeah.
where it's telling you, hey, don't do this shit.
Yeah, and when you think of all the things that could have gone wrong, right? That shit could have gone really left, right?
Yeah.
I'm happy nothing happened, right? But like I really not since back when Peter was 20 something and said like motherfucker say something, we're gonna throw down, right? Like I haven't thought about that shit since then.
Yeah.
So when that shit started fucking happening, like I just went into autopilot and I was like, well, let's fucking go, right? But I got 3 kids, you know, I got a wife at home, you know, like if I had gotten really hurt, you know, that's like the man that did that is not the man that should have been thinking about the stuff that I have at home.
Right.
Like the man that I want to be would have just said, fuck that shit, you know, like,
yeah,
and just keep it moving because, you know, I don't have nothing to prove.
Yeah.
And so like it's important for you to put yourself in these situations so that you can think, hey, like how would I want to react?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because when when you talk about like kind of like doing these like subliminal things and falling back into like old habits, you know, you can fall back into like these like subconscious things that you used to do from back in the day. And they say like Kelly was saying that like lack of sleep, you know, like if you have lack of sleep, basically you're not at your tank isn't full, right?
Yeah.
And if you continue to have like lack of sleep or lack of rest, basically your cognition is not where it should be, and it's almost as if like you have like temporary brain damage.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like really interesting. Like, so it is important, you know, that you don't act on like that impulse to be like, "Hey, fuck you! I'm gonna fuck you up," right?
Yeah.
But it's good that you took a step back and you're like, I would have fucked you up,
Yeah.
but I got 3 kids and a wife at home. Like, what if like I beat your ass, but you really hurt me? Like, I don't want to take that shit home to my wife.
Yeah, bro. And you know, outside of all that, bro, I hate when people fuck with your energy, and that shit fucked my energy up so much. I'm calling your ass, telling like, bro, I was about to fight somebody, you know, and all this shit, you know, like that's shit that I just don't need in my life, you know.
Yeah, we're 30-something years old.
Yeah, and so, man, like, going back to that, I must have not gotten good sleep that day. That's what it was. No, but you're right. Studies have shown that people who get 7+ hours of sleep and meditate at least 5 minutes, but you want 10 to 15 minutes a day, actually, so it was a study that addicts who got more than 7 hours of sleep and meditated 10 to 15 minutes daily with a minimum of 5 on those days that you can't get it in, relapse at a lower rate and were able to fight those urges. Yeah. So you know, sleep and meditation. So for the longest time, not for the longest time, but since I've really been on a roll of like with this whole weight loss and all this stuff, I've forced myself to get no less than 7 hours of sleep. See,
I wish I could. My brain won't shut off. Like no matter, it's not even like going into autopilot. It's not even my phone. It's not even TV. It's not even. It's none of that. I'll lay there in the dark and my brain will just be like,
so this is
what's up?
Yeah, well this is my other theory, right?
Okay.
We get so distracted with shit throughout the day that we don't think about the shit that we need to think about, so that when everything does turn off, what are you gonna do?
Is that why you become like a philosopher, like in the shower, when you're just like there with just your thoughts, you're thinking shit?
Bro, I think I'm like the new age, like, I don't know, Buddha, Socrates. I don't know. You guys pick.
I'm picking neither.
Vote in the comments who I remind you most of.
I'm going to be the comment that says fuck off.
Confucius is a good one, you know.
That's a very true thing, though, about shutting your brain off. I had that problem for the longest time of like just sitting there restless, not being able to sleep or whatever. But then what I started doing was I started like not even meditating, but just like listening to like one sound over and over again. And before I knew it, I'm asleep every time. Like if I remember like, oh, I can't sleep, if I turn something on, it's like, ooh, listen to this sound and count in your head or something like that. I fall asleep instantly almost every single time.
It does make sense though, because like at night everything's shut off. It's quiet, it's dark, and it's that perfect like environment. It's cold where I can sleep, right? But there is that possibility that things that I had been thinking about and should have thought about during the day are like coming back to not necessarily haunt me at night, but it's like, boom, work, you should have done this, you should have done that. oh shit, you forgot to call Peter so you could talk about the podcast, or oh, you forgot to check in with Jonathan for one reason or another. Those are the kind of things that like start to like plague my thoughts, right? So I can't sleep. But so when I'm starting out my day, I'm not starting out my day with like a full tank, right?
Yeah.
So I call it my give a damn when I'm at work. My give a damn was way down.
Yeah.
And what I've been doing is how, we had talked before, like every hour on the hour, do push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and I throw in curls.
Yeah.
That 2 to 3 minutes every hour where I'm not thinking about work, I'm not thinking about who just yelled at me, I'm thinking like 1, 2, 3, and I'm counting. When I go back and I sit down, my head's clear. So it's not like I'm sitting there like meditating.
Yeah.
But taking a break from everything, not focusing on anything other than counting. Yeah. It's similar to that. Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have like, for sure. That's a good point, but outside of what the problem is, right? Like one thing that you guys should know is that there is no replacement for sleep.
There isn't.
And so some solutions are as simple as turn your fucking phone off, turn everything off, get yourself 7 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah.
It sometimes is that simple. Sometimes it's not simple. Sometimes it's like my mind just continues racing. One of the things, so I used to not fall asleep. I'm real good at falling asleep, but when I would wake up, like, one choice that my family decided to do, right, is that me and my wife decided that it was better for our family for her to stay home and take care of the kids. We really, not to say that if you don't do this you don't love your kids, but like we just thought, who's going to take care of them better than their mom, right? So regardless of what sacrifices that was going to take, we knew that first and foremost we wanted to do that. Well, all of a sudden now the whole pressure of making money came on me,
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, like it really stressed me out, because it's like, man, like I gotta make sure I gotta do it. And it was just like constantly like not falling asleep. I always was good at falling asleep, but when I wake up, it was just constantly stressing, right?
Right.
So one thing that we need to understand, right, is that if you sit there and think of the endless possibilities of the future, like you will drive yourself crazy.
Oh, maddening.
Because anything can happen.
Yeah.
Right? Anything can happen. You could sit there and think of all the worst shit that can happen, and you would be validated because it all could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you sit there and force yourself to think of all the positive things that can happen, all those things can happen as well. So at the end, you're stuck with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reverse is also good for the past, right? Is that you could sit there and you can say, man, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done this. But the past is gone.
Yeah, that conversation that like we've had the conversation. Jonathan and I've had the conversation. It's gone to a lot of people. It's like, man, if I could tell myself 10, 15 years ago what it's really like, would I really be in like a position that I'm in now? Yeah. And you and I've talked too, like we're tired of talking about like things that we did 15, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like
the fucking contacts.
It's like I had to bring it up. But like we're tired of talking about like the people that we used to be and the cool shit that we used to do. We're more interested now in talking about
shit that we used to do too.
Yeah, that too. But we're more interested now in like new goals reached.
Yeah.
Which I think is like super important. Like
yeah.
We're not going back in time.
Yeah.
Marty ain't gonna show up in the fucking DeLorean and say, get in the car, let's go.
So yeah, man, you're 100%, man. So like, if you find yourself having all these thoughts like at night, then the only thing you have to do is just put yourself in that situation night after night after night until you start making amends with these demons that you have of the future or the past. And you start realizing that it's like, okay, well, what can I do today? So when I was stressing about like money and shit, I was like, what can we do? Like, what can I do about this now? Not a goddamn thing. Then fucking go to sleep, motherfucker. But when I would wake up, it's like, okay, well, what can I do? Well, I can do this. Okay, we'll do it. And I can do this. Okay, we'll do it. Well, I can do this, but I can't do it till then. Okay, then fucking worry about that shit then,
Yeah.
And so, like, when you start structuring yourself like that, and it takes practice. You don't just say, okay, I decide to do this and it's going to happen. You have to force your mind. You have to train your mind.
Yeah.
Train your mind to think the way you want it to think.
Right.
So That's one thing I like. So sleep, there's nothing you can do like about sleep. Now, 5 to 10, 15 minutes of meditation, like find it. Go take a 5-minute shit and like, sit there.
Leave your phone at your desk.
Yeah. And just sit there, right? And
even though that's a legit time to sit there and collect your thoughts.
Yeah. Get done what you need to get done and then just sit there because nobody's going to fuck with you, right? Nobody's going to come in there and be like, hey, check this out. Yeah. So definitely make sure all you have to do is just sit there. Now you look it up. I'm not a meditation expert. Look up there's a whole bunch of methods of how to like focus on your breath, focus on the sound, fucking don't think, like it's like find something that works for you.
That's what I was saying. Like
be still
with even though it's not still, even it's not stillness that I'm practicing or focusing on my breath. It's still that I'm not thinking about anything else other than I'm counting, right? And I'm just sitting there 1, 2, 3. I'm not thinking about anything else. Work can go fuck itself. Like at that point, all I'm thinking about is counting, and it clears my head. And I do it every hour, like on the hour basically. And I go back, and when I sit back down, I'm like, cool. Now I can take on this bullshit that this person just sent me.
Yeah,
but
for
sure. We do need more than just sleep. And I know we're getting to the end of this, and we do need more than meditation. And the point of this podcast is like we do talk about exercise. So that is something that we are putting out there that is like helping us with our willpower. Yeah. And like our willpower depletion. Like we are doing these things.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, we try to encompass all types of goals, right? But in all the research that we keep doing, it just goes back to like just being healthy. So sleeping, meditating, but the way that you eat and the amount that you exercise also has a lot to do. And it's, there's a reason there's a correlation there. It's like, cool. We're
a circle.
Yeah, we're trying. Yeah, our goals are to be in shape, right?
Yes.
But we're also trying to be like the people that are telling you is like, hey, look, like, I was 248 pounds, like. Once I get myself to where I get to, and I do show the before and after pictures, like you guys will see like how bad it was, And so I can tell you that like, hey, I was there, and all the things that like, all the disadvantages of all the things that were happening, and how slowly my life has just been getting better just by eating healthier, just by exercising. You ain't got to be crazy with it. You don't have to run 100 miles. You just have to be healthy.
Since we started the podcast, I've lost 8 pounds, right?
That's one more from 7 last time. Good job.
I know, yeah. It's been a week. How much have you dropped?
So I was
since the start of the podcast.
Oh, since the start of the podcast.
Because if we're gonna go like way back in time, then I've dropped like a ton of weight.
So let's see. When it was a month and a half ago, I was 215, 216. So right now, like 10 pounds.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good, Jonathan. Your journey's just begun. That's awesome. Yeah.
But he's kept.
Since you had puka shell necklaces and that Lance Bass haircut.
Hey, but don't worry. He's kept curvy in all the right places.
Yeah. And put your feet back on the wall. But yeah, like with that, like it's probably time to wind this up. So if you want to tell everybody where they can find us.
Wait, we got a couple things. Wait, sorry. We got a couple things.
I know we've been over an hour, so
yeah. Okay, we're gonna wrap. I told you we had a lot of shit in the beginning, right? Why'd you start it if you weren't gonna stay? No, but okay. So we'll wrap it up with one last thing, right? And I think this is gonna be really great for you guys. So Kelly said that there's this thing, right? It's called Surf the Urge.
The thing where she talked about the smokers, right?
Yeah. So,
I mean, it could go with anything, but she used smokers as an example.
Yeah. So basically, the study was they got these smokers to stop smoking for a while, right? And then they told them to come sit in a room, right? So these motherfuckers were good to go, right? They were ready to smoke. And so they basically told them to sit there, and they made them wait 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they came in, and they put the cigarettes and the lighter in front of them, and then they told them wait 2 more minutes. And then they told him to undo the wrapper and they told him to. So these motherfuckers are ready to smoke, but every step took 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And the whole process took about 2 hours, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so during this whole time, what they were telling them is, hey, like, I think before they started, they implanted this a thought in their head. There was like, hey, we're gonna teach you how to surf the urge.
Yeah.
Right. And so basically, what surfing the urge is that the urge you get, right? The urge to eat unhealthy, to eat the zebra cakes, to smoke, to start a new series on Netflix versus getting your studying done, whatever the urge is, right? What you have to do is just sit there, stop everything you're doing, just sit there
and really
just
take in like
really
what it is.
Yeah, take it in. Like feel it, allow yourself to get through it and understand that it goes away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because with each step, like you could like get it done in like 10, 15 seconds, right? But the fact that like from here we go, pack of cigarettes, don't touch it for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can like pack it 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Now you can open it 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Up to the point where they thought they were going to be, I thought it was funny. They're like, nobody smoked, by the way.
Yeah.
But like you get to that point where you're ready to smoke and it's been 2 hours and you've taken in like, you smelled the nicotine, you smell all the chemical in it, you smell everything that's bad, you're holding it, you're touching it, they put it to your lips and they're like, yeah, it's just a whole big cock tease for like 2 hours, you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
Like, you probably know the results of the test, but I think that like a majority of the people who went through that specific battery of testing, like they're
more
like,
than
fuck
half
this.
of those people though ended up being able to quit smoking.
Yeah.
Like eventually, you know, because they were taught to be able to surf that urge. You know? So with those things that you guys are wanting to either refrain from or to start doing, just remember you got to surf the urge, and you have to be able to battle that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just know that there is a will where there's a way. There's a way, and that's called willpower.
Willpower.
So I wanted to in the spirit of putting inspirational people, I came across this gentleman. And he's very inspirational.
Why is he inspirational? Do tell.
Because he's a badass. So his name is Hansel Emanuel, and some of y'all might have seen some of his highlight reels on Instagram. That's where I saw him. He had some highlights on ESPN, and so he's a 17-year-old who plays basketball, and he has one arm, and the dude is cold as fuck, man. That guy can ball, and he could dunk, and I mean, it's just so incredible to see him play so fluidly. I'm pretty sure throughout the years he's gotten it, but persistence, and again, the point of these is that if these people can do what they want to do, without all the parts you have, then what excuse do you have, right? Like he has a physical disability, but he's playing basketball, and he's playing at a really high level.
Yeah.
If what is wrong with you is physical or if it's mental, like once you decide that you can do something, you can do it. So I really recommend you guys go out there. Go on Instagram and check him out. He's just great. You just have to see it. Like he shoots the mid range. He freaking comes in and dunks. He's got great handles, and to see it with one arm is crazy. Like you're so used to watching basketball and you see the movements and stuff, but to see his movement and how fluid and how effective he is really a sight to see.
That's cool.
His handle on Instagram is Emmanuel, so it's ENMANUEL, and then Hansel, so he puts it all together, HANSEL. But go check him out. And then, like I said, he was on Instagram, on ESPN's too, so you can see some of his highlights on there.
That's cool.
But the guy is very, very, very inspirational. And,
that's awesome.
And I hope you guys, have enjoyed this one. Now we can finish. All right.
the clock keeper over there was telling us we're over an hour. So
yeah, he was like, hurry up.
yeah, he's like, WrestleMania again.
But to get the scientific version of everything, please go
definitely.
research Kelly McGonigal, McGonigal.
Is that spelled correctly?
I don't know if that's spelled correctly, but you
'Cause it
put it
looks like
incorrect, they're still gonna pull up.
Yeah, you spelled it Kellex,
Kellex,
like she's a Kryptonian.
Whatever. But anyways, that shit sound. Go check her out because that's where we got a lot of our information. And she's just really smart. Her book is The Willpower Instinct. Your boy Scott's already on it. I'm gonna be on it next.
Yeah, it's really interesting so far, and I'm treating it like how she says, read the book, take your time, treat it like you're taking my 10-week course, right? Yeah. So I read the first chapter, week 1. Yeah. So pretty much everything that I brought to the table to have the conversation about came from one chapter.
Yeah.
Which is fucking insane.
Yeah, and man, you know, I really felt with this we could still continue going and give you guys even more. There's still more studies that we weren't even able to bring up.
Right.
What I want to do is I want to thank the people that have listened,
Absolutely.
especially those of y'all that listen all the way to this point.
Absolutely.
You know, so if you're listening to this
I
is really
thank you.
Yeah. But not just because you listen, right? But because we know that you're listening. Like, I've digged into these subjects a lot deeper than I ever have.
Yeah.
And this is really changing my life. And I really hope that if you are listening, like, please, like, go through this journey with us. Like, this information that we're giving you, if we're not doing it justice and you go look it up, like, please do that. Because I'm putting it, like, I started meditating. As soon as I found out about the meditating, I've been meditating. I'm trying to build up my willpower. And this stuff is really changing me and it's really helping me. And it's because I know that if I don't come in with that hot fire and that information, that, like, you guys aren't going to get anything from it. And I want to be able to give you the information that I've gotten, you know, and I know, you know, sometimes I fuck it all up. But thank you guys, because this is really helping me. And go on this journey with us.
Yeah, it's really... I told you, like, off camera, it's like really changed, like, the way I look at things, or the way I think about things, because with the information that we had before looking into everything, right? Like how we said, like, we thought willpower was like a superpower, like that you see, like, in the movies and everything. Actually going through, learning about the studies, learning about, like, the mind, learning about what the body can do, like, it's really changed me too. And I've told you, like, doing this podcast, even though, like, we sit around and we, like, rib each other and things like that, I really do feel like I've gotten a lot smarter from doing this. And that's something that, like, is invaluable to me. And if you're listening and you feel the same way, like, I'm grateful for that, because you're giving me more inspiration to want to continue this, to want to keep getting smarter.
Yeah, man. So thank you from me, Scott, and Jonathan. Thank you guys for listening. Again, go on this journey with us, because we're picking up a lot of stuff that we're going through, and hopefully we'll give you, you know, what we learned from it.
Right.
And we would love for you guys to go through this journey with us.
Right.
And also through this journey of this podcast, you know, like, you know, seeing that you guys are watching and listening, it really makes me want to come back and give my all to you guys. So follow us on.
We have TikTok. We have Facebook. We have YouTube. We're on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Anchor. Pretty much Instagram as well.
OnlyFans.
As the only feet.
As only
for feet
only
pics.
feet, only weenus.
I supply the moisturized. You can supply the dry weenus.
Yeah, now we're gonna be adding thighs.
Oh yeah, thickness over there.
So, some would call us a triple threat.
No, but from the bottom of my heart, man, or ladies, gentlemen, kids of all ages.
I hope kids aren't. If they are, I'm sorry.
I'm really sorry. No, but thank you to everybody who listens and puts up with our bullshit. It means a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.